I'm at a rest stop that you could camp at, so I'm gonna hang my hammock up right here. I don't know if you can see it all. It's dark, and this camera sucks in the dark. Somewhere in Nevada.
Welcome back to Keep Off the Pavement. It's day 2 on my Utah adventure, and I've made my way across California and into Nevada. Today we'll wander our way southeast through Nevada's deserts and seeing what I can see along the way. My morning starts at the campground I found last night.
Day 2, I'm in Nevada, somewhere at an OHV park. There's a highway over there. Highway and some crazy hill climbs. Some of them Vegas Romaniac styles, straight up the mountain.
Not a bad view to wake up to in the desert at all.
A little river down here. I kept thinking like rocks were dropping in the water, like somebody was throwing big rocks in the water over here last night. And I heard it this morning, and I looked over there, and a bird came out of the water. Birds were diving in. That's cool.
I had my coffee and packed up my bags and made sure all my water bottles were filled for the trip into the desert. First stop would be the little town of Urington for fuel and some cell phone service.
That's where I'm headed, that way, between them rocks and some other rocks and some dirt and more dirt.
I always like to do a loop around my campsite when I leave, make sure I didn't leave anything. Before I left the area, I had to see what was across the highway. The river was flowing and just eating away right at the rock.
I wonder how far under it goes.
I checked a few things out there for a bit, but reluctantly had to get back on the road. On this trip, I figured out where to go basically by picking gas stations just about every 100 miles. That gave me almost that much again to be able to wander around and explore along the way. At that next fuel stop, I'd figure out where I was going to go from there. Soon enough, the canyon pass and rivers turned into flatlands with scattered farms and ranches. With my tank full and communications complete, I headed down 95 towards Walker Lake. I hadn't been riding long yet today, but I was already feeling bored. A good way to break up the monotony of a lot of miles on a straight road is just pull over, stretch, take a look around, and enjoy things from a different perspective. People have asked me what was the biggest thing that I felt unprepared for on this trip, and I've got to say it was the extreme amount of hours driving in a straight line. There were large chunks of time I never even saw another vehicle. Seeing a big rig or even this lake felt like such a big thing. Dang, finally something to look at. There's a couple very barren campgrounds down there, and unknown to me at the time, a whole bunch of unexploded munitions on the southern beach. Passing Walker Lake, I was headed towards a small town in the middle of nowhere called Hawthorne. I passed these buildings thinking it was the cleanest farm I had ever seen. I realized later they were barracks. I initially stopped here because of this tank. After I got a picture of it with the DRZ, I climbed all over the thing. Unfortunately, my video of the inside and out was corrupt. Here at the Hawthorne Munitions Museum, I learned the area was also home to the Hawthorne Depot, which not only has manufacturing, testing, and training facilities, but also houses the largest supply of ammunition and munitions in the world.
Check out some new stuff here. That's what it fired.
Leaving Hawthorne, I once again headed off into the desert, eventually finding myself in a little crater. Leaving Hawthorne, I spotted these bunkers or shelters on the side of the highway. These were like dirt mounds with a door on the side. The other side of the road had even bigger bunkers. Eventually I was dying in the heat. I was looking anywhere I could to find some shade. I pulled over in an area because I saw a large mound of dirt. It wasn't casting any shade, unfortunately. I brapped around a little bit in this crater, had some fun, and then I decided I'd sit up here and have some lunch. While having lunch, some very large, loud, rumbling explosions were going off in the background. I tried to record them, but you just could not hear it in the video. So amidst the explosions in a crater in the desert, I had my lunch in the only shade around, that cast by my motorcycle. Lunch was done and I was back on the road, headed towards my next fuel stop. An area on the map marked as Coaldale. It is pretty common to see old silver mines along the way, as well as a ruined building or two. The long expanses of vastly straight road often had me just looking off in the distance. Whatever it took to kill the boredom and relax a little more. GPS indicated my stop was ahead, it was time for fuel. Not too far off the highway though, I realized something wasn't right. Looks like I've stumbled upon a ghost station. And by the looks of it, a whole little modern ghost town. I like ruins and graffiti, so I gotta check it out. Coaldale used to have a store, a motel, a cafe, and the service station. In 1993, leaks were found in the gas station's fuel tanks, and everything closed down shortly after. There was lots of well-done graffiti everywhere. Some of it was quite funny. Some of it was a bit dystopian and creepy. Even the road crews seem to tag everything up over here. Having plenty of reserve fuel for things such as this, I head east looking for the next stop. Unfortunately, I don't make it very far before I find myself in construction that has an hour-long wait time. I talked with the guy in the Jeep a bit about both of our adventures on our way to Utah, and contemplated many times just ripping down the side of the road. After what seemed like the longest hour in my lifetime, I finally had my helmet on, the bike moving, and the air blowing over me. Up ahead in the town of Tonopah, I met a man who I don't believe spoke any English. He looked at me, then looked at my bike, pointed at my bike, and then pointed at me with a questioning look. I understood though and replied with, "Yep, it's mine." He looked at my bike again, then puffed up his chest, and thumped it with his fist, pointed at me. We both just smiled and laughed and went back to pumping our gas. After pumping my gas, I left my backpack on the back of my bike. Went for a short ride in the field next to the station, luckily, and noticed it as I was about to leave. I'm heading south and it's time to start looking for a camp spot. I end up at a small pond on BLM land just south of Beatty. A giant pickaxe is a sure sign of a mining town in Nevada. I was gonna head up into those hills there and try to find a place to camp, but I was thwarted by a gate and a fence. After a little play in the sand and scrub brush, I found another spot on my map that was about an hour south. Riding along, watching the sunset, I found myself rocking out and getting silly, like tipping my hat to anybody that I passed. The sun was set and the moon was out as I was just rolling into the town of Beatty. For a small town, it was pretty dang flashy with its casino and hotel. The palm trees were a perfect desert oasis touch. I carry everything I need to be self-sufficient for the whole trip, but it's nice to pick up a cold beer for the campsite. And who doesn't enjoy a gas station with a castle store, even with a moat? From there I head off to find my campsite for some dinner and a relaxing evening. Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Like and comment below, and I'll see you next time on TWiGs ADV.
I don't know about these areas without trees. There's like 10 trees in my whole view. They're all right here.